Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Data Dialogues podcast. Today, we are discussing 10 odd and bizarre things people have found in old homes. And I am your host, Larissa Bedgood. I head marketing here at PGM. And with me today is Michelle Taves, Group GM of the Porch Data and Marketing Group. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you, Larissa. I'm so excited to be here and discuss the 10 odd things found in homes. These things are always important.
And we just did a really fun episode. I think things found in attics, things found under floorboards. Maybe we did all of those episodes. I don't recall, but we're always talking about things found in houses because, of course, it relates to movers and our Home Factors product. Michelle, can you tell us actually a little bit about Home Factors before we dive into this episode?
Sure. Home Factors is actually a fun product we've been building over the last couple of years. Basically, what Home Factors does is we created the ability to understand about the inside of the home prior to actually going in and doing a home inspection. Given the ability to understand if a home has any type of damage, or what type of piping is in the home, or what type of electrical panel system is in the home. Multiple use cases for really understanding that kind of data across the industry, if you can imagine. If you're a remodeler, really understanding where a home could possibly need your services is really interesting to the contractors. And then particularly for insurance, it's very interesting to understand the inside of the home to be able to help with underwriting decisions, pricing decisions, any kind of claim validation. So we're having a lot of fun with it.
Well, okay, yes. Pipes are cool, water heaters are cool, but you know what's even better is when things are left behind in homes. And that's what we're discussing today. Maybe it's hidden artwork, cash. I don't think I've ever found any of that in my home. But another quick little plug, we also have moving data. And one of the things about our mover data is that it identifies movers up to 14 days earlier than a lot of the competition out there. We have a really broad catalog of mover data from pre-move throughout the move, really proprietary to Porch Group and a lot of the different sources of data that we have, first-party data through Porch. So when somebody is in a life transition, such as a move, we are really able to identify throughout the move to help brands reach consumers at the moment they are researching and making those purchase decisions. But with that, beyond Home Factors and mover data, we have some very fun cases of things found in the home. So let's get started. All right, so topping off our list is a story of a man by the name of George Davis who had passed away, and his family discovered a mysterious box tucked away in his attic. Inside was a small Fabergé figurine, later identified as a gift from Tsar Nicholas II to Empress Alexandra. The figurine depicted the Empress's personal Cossack bodyguard, and features included sapphire eyes, gold trim and braid, and really intricate enamel work with imperial eagles. So this was obviously worth quite a bit, and it fetched $800,000.
Wow. I'm not sure I would have, if I would have found something like that, I'm not sure I would have thought that it's a collectible.
Right. Yeah.
Right. I think I would have probably just thought, oh, this is maybe like one of my kids' craft projects, or right. Like it's because it was like a wood figurine. It's not like it was anything that's like crazy or stands out or anything.
That's funny. Yeah. I was just like, well, you know, that goes into the donation pile.
How many times you wonder that happens? And Larissa, yes. It's interesting that in the long run, it was purchased by a jeweler for $5.2 million. We absolutely would have missed in that opportunity.
Yeah, I think you had mentioned before, and we might have some stories of this, but going to estate sales and always hoping to find like that hidden painting, you know, this is worth like $2 million, and I only bought it for $2. All right, so what else do we have, Michelle?
So the Roman bath, Mark and Jenny had just moved into a new home in Wisconsin, right? Probably like many millions and millions of other people. While renovating their office, they lifted the floorboards and made a discovery that beneath the wood was a fully intact Roman style mosaic bath. How crazy. How did that get in Wisconsin? Like, you just got to ask yourself, how did that end up in Wisconsin? It featured blue tiles, beautiful design work, as you can absolutely imagine on these things. That's the big question that I asked. They were shocked and overjoyed that something beautiful was in their house, of course, but you still got to wonder how the Roman style bath ended up in Wisconsin.
So exactly. And how was it under the floorboards? I mean, that's crazy.
Like,
And
why? Who covered it?
the Romans? I don't know. That's fabulous. So this next one is about a soldier in love. So in 2014, Phil Matthews was renovating his Indiana bathroom. And during the project, his contractor made a pretty cool discovery. He found dozens of love letters dating back to 1918 that were hidden in the attic wall. The letters actually told the story of Clement, a World War II soldier, and Mary, his sweetheart. Now, that's very cool. I love like a good romance novel. So to find letters like this, I love that.
There's actually a movie, Larissa. I don't know if I can't remember the name of the title of it, but similar. Somebody found a letter like on the underneath part of a desk. And it was a letter written to a soldier from a nurse. And the movie was about trying to track down the couple and find out where they are and get their story. It was very moving.
I love that. I think I vaguely remember that. I'll have to look that one up. And actually,
they tracked it down too. Fun.
Yes, I was say actually this was a happy ending. So Phil tracked down Clement's surviving relatives and later learned that Clement and Mary did end up together. So it's a happy ending. They actually got married, raised a family. And of course, no one knows how the letters actually ended up in Phil's wall, but I love that it had that happily ever after. So that was pretty cool.
That's awesome. Okay, right. My favorite thing, pure cash. Dave, a photographer, he was exploring an abandoned house to take photos of antiques for his blog. Behind an old mattress, he found a yellow home hardware bag filled with nearly $7,000 in cash. The mighty was tightly rolled into bundles and held with elastic bands dated from the 60s and the 70s. I don't know. I've seen a lot of movies about cash rolled up in and it's never good. Like, they never got the cash in a good way. So I would be suspicious of where that cash came from. Instead of pocketing the money, he tracked down the former owner's granddaughter. She was thrilled and explained the backstory. Her grandparents ran a fruit stand. That is not what I was thinking.
Wow.
And likely saved the money over decades. He returned the cash. That's awesome.
That is very cool. And also, if money is folded over, it's a lot less conspicuous. When it's rolled in like a bundle, that's where you're like, okay, rolls of cash are never good. Oh, and how wholesome, a fruit stand. Okay, this one, Michelle, is crazy. This is not a story you ever want. So it is literally, I think, a movie, I'm sure. But so as many of us may know or have heard, affordable living space is kind of rare in New York City. And imagine finding out that your apartment secretly connects to another one. It's like, okay, let's see what happens. Well, this is what happened to Samantha Hartsoe. And it all started with cold air blowing from behind her bathroom mirror. Naturally, she decided to investigate, and she found a hole in the wall leading to an entire vacant apartment. And yep, she climbed through it, of course. So you don't ever go into a space like that. That is certainly a horror movie. She did film the whole thing for TikTok, and millions of viewers actually watched along as she explored the abandoned space. The big question, though, is why did this mystery apartment have its own door? Like, literally, why did it have to go through the mirror in her bathroom? Let's just hope she didn't find any unexpected neighbors waiting for her, because if this were a horror movie, we all know what would happen next.
Yeah, I mean, you would wonder. I would wonder the same thing. Like, why did? Because in New York, space is rare, right? Like if you go and look, they have a ton of apartments that are like 250 square feet, right? So that's very odd that there's an entire apartment that's completely closed off. I guess the first thing I would do is I would go and open it up. I would
Yeah.
have an apartment.
Yes, that's right. I mean, you have like this great little library space, little
Yeah.
nook. I mean, a whole nother bedroom. Yeah, that's a great find. Okay,
Okay,
what's
the
next?
next one, a gamer's paradise. Well, I absolutely love games. As you know, Larissa, I'm very competitive. I do enjoy board games, card games. I enjoy sports. So for the board game lover, people take their love with them for the next level. I'm not sure that would be me, but let's see what happens. In 2021, a Reddit user shared a wild discovery made by his in laws. They just moved into a new home and decided to rip up the carpet. I would do that too. I'm more like a hardwood kind of gal. What they found underneath was an entire Monopoly board drawn directly onto the floor. I have to say, Monopoly is my least favorite game. Anyways, we're talking about a full sized, all the streets, the jail, even the community chest. Sounds weird, right? Actually, it's probably not as weird as you might think. Other Reddit users chimed in and said giant game boards like this were once a thing. Back in the day, decorating your basement or playroom with a massive game board was surprisingly popular. Cool? I don't know. What do you think, Larissa?
That is interesting. I don't know. As the same with you, I don't think I would have chosen Monopoly. Um, I don't know. It's cool.
I actually like the concept of Monopoly. It's just we always end up in a fight.
Yeah, and it's so long and it gets frustrating, and yeah. I think I tipped the board once when I was young when I got overly competitive. So
Next one is if you were to ask anyone what is probably one of my least favorite things, it is bees. I am not a bee fan. I'm allergic to them and they just scare me, those little critters. So when Justin and Andrea saw something dark dripping down their walls, they assumed it was water damage. A tropical storm had just passed through their Pennsylvania neighborhood. But it wasn't. It was honey. There's got to be a lot of bees with the honey to be dripping. I'm just saying. Real sticky, golden honey oozing down their walls. Naturally, they checked the attic, of course, right? And there was a massive bee colony. We're talking 20, 30,000 bees living there. Oh my goodness. I wonder how come they never noticed bees in the inside of the house. Anyways, imagine the buzz, yeah, and the buzzing, right? Like they had to have heard the buzzing throughout the house. They never heard anything. The son wanted to keep the bees, of course, but the parents had other plans. First, the swarm relocated itself to a neighbor's tree. Eventually, a beekeeper stepped in and safely removed the entire colony. Sweet story. I probably would have sprayed and killed them.
yeah, that is a massive amount of bees.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of bees either. I'm not allergic. I've only been stung a few times. I do love honey, so I'm glad that they were able to rehome them. And I just don't want them in my home like you. No one wants them in their home.
You are much sweeter about it than I am.
Literally, sweet honey. So this next one is a house within a house. So it sounds a little bit like the apartment within the apartment. Again, it's set up to every classic horror movie. You move into an old house and head up to the attic. That's pretty much how it all begins. You might expect some cobwebs. Usually for me, it's a lot of boxes of Christmas decorations or holiday decorations. Actually, I do have a dollhouse up in my attic that my father had made for my daughter. So that's pretty cool. But this time, when they went up, they did not find a dollhouse or crates of holiday decorations. In fact, they discovered a full-sized house inside their attic. Literally, I have no idea. It's not a room and bath, it's a house.
That must have been quite a huge attic.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Well, and the photos that they shared actually did include windows, light fixtures, and even a bathroom. So that had to have been, at least a pretty good size. There were also
piping was there was a bathroom. Just my,
yes.
I have questions.
Water damage.
Water damage. I bet that would come up with an inspector as a high risk item.
There's a lot of home factors references throughout this episode. The Roman bath could have had water intrusion, leaks. There's a lot of things happening here. And then the ripped floorboards, that's that's time to hire a home professional, which we also have access to. So just saying, folks, you heard it here. But actually, getting back to the story, inside the house, there was also abandoned belongings that were still scattered around. And so it looked like someone basically just walked away one day and never came back. So they're not quite sure how it got there. The people that discovered the home thought it might be a top floor of a 2-story building and just got closed off. But it's, that was quite the discovery.
You got to ask why you would do that. Why would you close off the top floor of your house? Just seems very odd, but hey, I am not a contractor, so.
Exactly. So Michelle, would you like to wrap us up on this fun episode?
Sure. This was a lot of fun, Larissa. Really enjoyed spending this time with you today. I guess when you move into your new place, if you do, you never really know what you're getting into. At PGM, we help brands tap into the exact moment right before or right after a move, when consumers are making major life changes and purchase decisions. Our mover data gives you the insights you need to reach people when you're the most responsive, including pre-movers and movers identified across every single stage of the move journey, behavioral and household signals that indicate who's ready to buy your product and when, custom mover segments that align with your ideal customer profile, and let's not forget about Home Factors that provides the ability to understand all about the inside of the home. Let's face it, moving isn't just about packing a box anymore. When you move, you have needs, you have habits, you need to get your hair done, and new opportunities for marketers to connect with real intent. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Data Dialogues. Stay curious, I'm taking your line, stay data-driven, and we'll see you next time, hopefully with fewer creepy attic surprises.
Yay! Thanks all. Until next time.